Welcome to Level Up with Winnie Sun.
Well, hello, and happy Friday to you. Thanks so much for tuning in. Welcome back. I hope you're having an amazing Friday because this is the start of our weekend, right? Thank you so much for submitting your weekly questions because Fridays are always special. As you know, this is our AWA show where we answer your questions live on the show. If you're joining us on a replay, a big hello to you. Thank you so much for tuning in. I love seeing those replays. I love seeing you contribute. So thank you. Also want to welcome my friends at Modern Mom as we're also streaming to you so that you can stay on top of relevant, important business and financial news to make those good decisions for you and your family. All right. Let's do this, my friends. We are here to talk about how the market closed. Why don't we talk about that, right? The Dow closed, as you remember, yesterday, down 559 points. Well, today, down 469 points today. Yesterday, NASDAQ was down 478. So here's some good news. It was actually up 72 points today. S&P also down 18 points. A lot of concerns happening. If you haven't been paying attention, that's okay. That's why we're here, right? But let's start with this because we want to talk about showing you the money. That's what we want to talk about. Yes, I know. It's Friday. It's so much fun. And this is what this is all about. We want to talk about the increase in household income. That's right. Household income, the amount that Americans receive from wages, investments, government programs, rose in January 10%. The U.S. Commerce Department said today, and the increase was actually the second largest on record, only passed by last April's gain when the stimulus checks were sent out by the U.S. federal government. And so U.S. household income increasing by 13% since February of 2020, which was a month before the pandemic shutdown, a significant portion of that for the economy. So, you can look at your own savings. Has your household savings gone up? Because are you really in line with the U.S. household savings factors here, or are you looking at something else? Are you saving more or are you saving less? I'm really curious to hear. So we do know consumer spending has also increased by almost 2.5% last month. The jump is certainly bullish news here for the U.S. economy as well as the stock market. In fact, 2/3 of the economy is dependent on consumer spending. So the fact that people are going out, they're spending more money shows that things might be getting better, at least from an economic standpoint. Still, of course, way below pre-COVID levels, but we'll take the good news when we can get it. So I want to say a quick hello to Carlos. Carlos says, yes, he read an article about that. Alina says, show me the money. Yeah, we want to show you the money. And we want to talk about money because sometimes when we talk about it, we learn about how to make those smart financial decisions for ourselves. Well, President Joe Biden, as you know, today's big news is the $1.9 trillion spending package that hopefully will get you that third stimulus check sooner rather than later. But what we do know that looks like is unfortunately on the chopping block for this bill is going to be the increase in the minimum wage. Because as you know, in order to go through that special budget process that allows Democrats who right now control the Senate to pass Biden's proposal without Republican votes, they actually have to make sure that, well, there's limitations to this. So there's limitations to the provision. And it says that legislation must have a direct impact on the federal budget or it can't be part of this bill, which means that this bill cannot include the increase in minimum wage. We've been talking about this for a couple weeks now. The increase in minimum wage is being reported as not meeting the criteria. So what that means is, Republicans are also saying, well, even if it was part of this, we actually wouldn't support. A lot of Republicans are saying they wouldn't support that much of a jump in the minimum wage. Some Democrats agree with them because they're worried that if they do this, if they increase the minimum wage by too much, this will be too expensive for businesses to hire employees, to continue to pay for their employees. And this actually could cost jobs for many Americans. So I'm curious to see what you think as well. So I thought we would do a little quick survey to see what companies who pay their employees what they're doing and what they're saying about the minimum wage. I think this is going to make you really love this company. So Costco says they plan to actually edge up. They're actually going to level up on their minimum wage. In fact, they're going to start at $16 an hour starting next week. That's right. They're not even going to wait for the government. They're saying if you work at Costco and you're starting off, we're going to start you at $16 an hour. Forget about all that U.S. minimum wage business. We're going to take good care of you. In fact, CEO Craig Jelinek said that this is the right decision because this not only is good for business, but this will keep Costco competitive so that they can have the best employees and they can minimize turnover, maximizing employee productivity. So I don't know. I just feel like we got to give some shout out, some love to Costco. I mean, what a great decision and setting a really strong precedence. Now, Walmart, the largest employer here in the United States, says they have a starting pay of $11. Though last week they did say that they plan to raise almost 500,000 of their employees to between $13 and $19 an hour. So good job, Walmart, as well. Amazon, I didn't know that. Amazon's actually the second largest employer in the United States, and they have also been advocating in favor of a $15 minimum wage. So I think those three very large employers here are setting a stage that they're saying, okay, I think we're okay with increasing minimum wage. As you may remember in the past, McDonald's was very anti-increasing the minimum wage. But what we found recently is they become less and less vocal in that direction. So it seems like they're warming up to this as well. Now, unsurprisingly, Americans have been, much more saving during the pandemic because, they're spending a lot less money and the fact that Americans are saving at significantly high rates. In fact, in January, Americans have stayed steady and saving about 20% as Americans are vaccinated and things haven't quite become normal. But the government is saying this is a good sign because if increased savings, that means when things do get back to normal, once we are post-pandemic, that a lot of that savings can be trickled down back in the economy. People will be wanting to spend money. I don't know about you, but I am going to definitely be spending money on a legendary vacation. Probably I won't be spending a lot of money though. I'll probably spending points and miles, but that's a whole nother discussion. But we're going to bring in some friends and some good friends of mine that are going to help you with planning your travel with points and miles very, very soon. I guess that's sort of a teaser, but I wanted you to know this because these are things that we have front of mind. Plus, with concerns on the matter of inflation, we actually see more people spending again as the concern is, will prices also be driven up? And if you remember, we discussed this earlier in the week that the Federal Reserve that expects that prices and increases in prices could cause temporary inflation, but they don't think that this is going to have a negative impact on the economy long term. And they continue to advise us not to panic. Don't worry about inflation right now. That's what the Fed is telling us. There's going to be more government money flowing into the economy very, very soon as the U.S. House today is expected to narrowly pass that $1.9 trillion pandemic relief and hopefully more $1,400 payments to more Americans. So hopefully those of you who are watching are going to be getting more stimulus support, right? The other thing we want to talk about is this. My question is, do you tweet, my friends? Now you're joining us. I see the one and only Brian Schumann is on LinkedIn. Of course, I consider him like the godfather of LinkedIn. Aline Law is joining us from Facebook. We see Get Ahead joining us from Periscope and so many other friends as well. Let's talk about Twitter. Now, if you didn't know already, Twitter is actually launching something called Twitter Spaces. It's currently in beta. It's kind of like a very similar to Clubhouse. If you've tried Clubhouse already, it's social audio. You probably heard my guest yesterday, Jeremiah, talk about this. But Twitter also announced more things in their annual virtual analyst day that they just had. And these are some of the things that are coming out, including something called super follow subscriptions, where it's sort of like Patreon. So let's say, for example, you and I follow each other on Twitter, and perhaps you follow other people on Twitter. Now, there's going to be something called super follows, which will allow Twitter users to charge followers and give them access to extra content like bonus tweets access to a community group, subscription to a newsletter, or a badge indicating your support. It's actually really, really cool. And so you can see it here. But if you haven't seen this already, definitely take a look at this, because as an avid Twitter fan myself, I was just thinking about this. Now, there's a lot of people that I follow on Twitter, and as you know, my tweet chat community, we actually have the largest business tweet chat on Twitter every single week. We average 150 million impressions. It's massive. But even with that, I don't know that I would be comfortable having my followers pay money to read my tweets. Maybe I'll have a change of heart. I never say never, right? But Twitter is giving an example where users would be charged $4.99 per month to receive a series of perks. So I guess I could give you certain things and share certain things that I don't share on the live show, on my normal Twitter feed, just to my special followers. That'd be really interesting, actually. Twitter sees this as a way to let creators and publishers get paid directly by their fans. Twitter also showed a new feature that I think is really interesting, called micro communities, which you saw my producer Kirsch just show earlier. So these micro communities are going to be a lot like Facebook groups, right? And so you'll be able to join a special community. I think we're definitely going to be all over this, because as you know, we do have a very large following on Twitter, and we have a very engaged community. We consider them like Twitter family. And I can see it's moving from direct message over to a Twitter group. That'd be really fun. The other thing I'm loving, and I think those of you who are on social media are going to love this. They're going to have something called safety mode. Okay. Twitter wants to maintain a healthy environment free of abuse and harassment. This feature would automatically detect when a user starts to receive a flurry of negative interactions from others. So let's say you post something and everyone's attacking you, then you could easily activate safety mode to limit engagement from accounts that are actively saying negative and ugly things towards you. So you can automatically block accounts that appear to break Twitter rules. So this is really good. So this would include things like insults, name calling, strong bad language that we wouldn't want our kids to hear, and hateful remarks. I think we should all really support that. And I'm all over Twitter safety mode. I see Brian Schumann loving this as well, right? This is really, really cool. By the way, if you don't follow Brian Schumann yet, I'm just telling you, literally one of the most amazing, wonderful human beings on this planet. I'm just so glad he was born. Seriously, such an incredible human. And also, let's talk about Twitter's other feature called Birdwatch, which is to combat the spread of misinformation on the social network. As you know, there was a whole bunch of that the last 2 years. We won't say by whom, but there's a lot of misinformation being shared on social media. So this is going to be sort of like a Wikipedia-like model, where you have an open community of people, contributors, users that can come in and say, yeah, this is true or this isn't true. In fact, Twitter gave an example of, like, let's say their example was really cool. Actually, they said, there was a tweet that they showed, and they said, this is not a whale, or a whale isn't a real thing. And then people could come in and say, actually, sea animals are in fact real. And you could put, information out there that says this was misinformed or potentially misleading. So it gives people a crowdsourcing opportunity to help identify what's true and what isn't true. I'm not sure exactly how that's looking like. I'm going to be really interested to see how they overlay that and how they reveal that. But that's something that, we can look forward to. But now it's time to segue over to your questions. All right. So, because so many questions, and I'm going to say a huge thank you to the one and only Curse Peak, who is my amazing producer. He's like, we're trying all these new fun things, and he's just amazing. He's amazing too. Brian Schumann, all of you guys are amazing, right? It's just amazing Friday. All right. Let's start with your questions, because they were some really good ones. This was one of the first questions that you sent over, I think, was actually, we actually got a lot of questions this week about the stimulus check. Like, to take a look at that question, it's gonna be another 1,400 or more. What do we know? What do we know so far, right? And you look like you need more money because your hours are being reduced again at work. I've heard that a lot, actually. Some of my clients are experiencing that too. Reduced hours at work. Some of my clients have been furloughed. Some are getting offered a package to actually take early retirement or severance, which means basically you're being laid off. So you might be wondering what's the status of the bill and how soon you'll be receiving a stimulus check. Well, the House of Representatives is expected to pass President Biden's $1.9 trillion stimulus relief package today and send it over to the U.S. Senate for approval. As you know, both chambers in the House and the Senate will need to approve the bill to be able to send it to President Biden's desk before the date of March 14th. So you might be saying, well, what is so big about March 14th? Well, March 14th is important because this is when we actually need to make a decision, because a lot of existing employment stimulus benefits like unemployment benefit and enhanced unemployment federal relief, that all expires on March 14th. So this is why a new bill needs to take place. It's also important to know that if the Democrats vote this, as you know, the $15 minimum wage is not going to be part of that, as we mentioned earlier in the intro as well. So do keep that in mind. I think we're going to see some news very, very soon. And hopefully by next week, we'll know. But looks like right now, $1,400 for a stimulus check will be coming your way. And I'm hoping, you'll get more hours at work and things will get better. But keep up your spirits and keep looking for other ways to bring in income if you can. Maybe this weekend, trying to get a little bit creative. I've got a lot of content on that too. If you're looking, definitely jump on YouTube and check out Winnie Sun TV over the weekend. Tons of videos in there that will help you during this time. And as a plug, make sure to hit subscribe too, okay? So next question, let's see. Oh my goodness, what a cute question. Okay. Winnie, we just love watching your show. Thank you. My oldest, Michaela, is heading to college this year. Do you have any money tips on how she can save and be good about making wise choices? I love this. Well, perfect timing, I guess, because my friends and I at CNBC, we just collaborated on an article on this. So actually, I've shared some of my best tips on how you can really, really easy ways for you to save while in college. So do take a moment and check that article out. It's on CNBC. It was actually just released this week. You can take a look at here. And there it is. So there we go. And you can see Amanda Mailer on CNBC, and I contribute. Definitely take a look at this article. I think you'll find it very, very helpful. All you got to do is Google actually CNBC Winnie Sun college students. I'm sure it's going to pop up. So take a look at it. Let me know if you have any questions on it, because I think if there's anything I missed, I would love to hear from you too. And I know a lot of our community here that's part of the show are really great at saving. So Get It Here, Alina, Joshua, all of you, I know you're actually great at savings. And this is actually America Saves Week. So if you have any tips for college students that I didn't think about, I would most welcome your ideas, because that's how we share, that's how we care, by putting these ideas together for as many people as we can. All right, let's see another question. What do we have? Hopefully that's helpful for you. I'm really glad you asked that question. Oh, use textbooks. To Get It Here says use textbook. All right. So here's our question. This is our last question. And that is, okay, so we need to talk. My company is letting us have this option called in-service. Can you talk about what this is? I should call and set up a meeting. Where do I start? All right. Great question. In fact, I'm actually doing a whole bunch of meetings later this afternoon with more clients actually who are going through something similar. Their situation is a little different in that they're doing sort of a in-service of the last 5 years of retirement plan contributions. So, but typically, when you work at a large company, a lot of companies offer you something called in-service distribution, okay? And if you don't know if it's offered, I would suggest you just call your 401k plan sponsor or your benefits department. Usually they don't know. You usually have to call the 401k department and ask them, well, at our work, do we have the option of something called in-service distribution? So let me tell you what this is. So typically, if you've reached the age of 59 and a half, and you're still working at a company, you might have the option to take some money or make changes to the money in your 401k before you leave the company. And so in the past, we've had some clients who, after much discussion, much analyzing the pros and the cons, because there are going to be a lot of pros and cons. So you definitely want to make this decision with the help of a financial professional, and you want to do your own research and make sure it's something that's beneficial to you. But what it does offer sometimes is allowing you to take a portion of what's fully vested in your 401k and roll it out into an IRA rollover or you may be able to take the money and use it without facing a 10% penalty that would normally occur. Well, I guess if you reach 15 and a half, you could, obviously take money out of your retirement if you needed to. But this is mostly for people who are able to take money out of that particular 401k into an IRA rollover because it expands your investment choices. Because most 401ks are pretty limited. You might have between 15 to 30 to 40 different mutual funds to choose from. However, there may be other investments that you feel are more suitable for you, or you have more of an interest in investing your monies in, and maybe your financial advisor or financial professional has other options that you really like and you wish they can trickle down into your retirement as one of your work options. And for most Americans, the 401k is the largest sum of retirement savings. So there might be things you're like, I just wish I could invest a portion of my 401k in that instead. Well, that's where the in-service distribution provides that option. So if you find out you have an in-service distribution option, you might actually check with your financial advisor. If you don't have one, you will definitely check out sungroupwp.com and set up a consultation. We're doing complimentary consultations all the time right now. But this is something you want to keep on your radar, especially as you do financial planning. Doesn't mean you necessarily will decide to take that option, but it's very important to understand your different options because, as you know, when it comes to retirement savings, you got to make sure it's something to your benefit. And if there's another option that could be more beneficial for you, you just want to make sure that you're aware of it. So wanted to make sure you're aware of it because a lot of people don't know that that's options available. In fact, many HR professionals don't even know that that option is available at their own companies. And that's not because they're not aware of their plans. It's just something that some plans offer and some plans don't offer. And some plan sponsors have the capability of having that. I have found, and I will share this with you, in many cases, the larger companies do have this option, especially companies that have had employees there for a very long time. For example, I worked with employees from the Los Angeles Times, AT&T, SBC. Let's see who else. British Petroleum, Arco, they tend to have, Boeing as well. A lot of these companies do have in-service distribution. So if you're not sure, you should look into seeing if that's an option because that can be a really great way to do some quality financial plan, retirement planning. We do a ton of that. Last 20 years, we've done so much of it. So if you're looking for a second opinion and you want to see if we can help you manage your money better, definitely reach out. We'd love to hear from you. But so let's see what we're getting so many comments. I'm loving this. It's so fun to see all of you. And I'm loving how all of you are so committed to financial literacy on a Friday. It just warms my heart. But thank you so much. You have been incredible. I hope that you have an incredible weekend, and we'll look forward to seeing you again next week. As you know, we live stream here on 6 different platforms, and now the amazing and wonderful Modern Mom as well. Their communities also, or their community, my community, because I'm part of Modern Mom. Our community is now getting this content as well. Every day that the financial markets are open, that's when we are coming. Thank you so much for watching and supporting this program and sharing the show with those that you love, that you care about. Maybe it's your colleagues, maybe it's your neighbor, maybe it's your family, whoever it may be that you think could benefit from financial literacy, definitely share this with them. As a reminder, you can find full episodes of Level Up with Winnie Sun on NASDAQ, Amazon Fire, and Roku. Be well now, and I can't wait to see you again next week. Take care now. Have a great weekend.